Right now on Spectrum News 13, an all-out shouting match in downtown Sanford between President Trump's supporters and those who want him impeached. We're going to take you to that rally to show you what's happening right now. Jurors could be chosen as early as today in the case against Markeith Lloyd. We'll tell you why it's been difficult finding jurors in that case. And 1 year ago right now, folks in the Panhandle were preparing for the unimaginable, the slamming of a Category 5 hurricane named Michael. We're going to take you back to the Panhandle to show you how people are beginning to rebuild. Spectrum News 13 at noon begins right now. And welcome to the afternoon edition on this Thursday. I'm Eric Levy. We're going to start with breaking news. Two businessmen connected to the president's personal attorney are behind bars at this hour. We'll tell you what they're accused of and how it related to President Donald Trump's election. We're going to get to that story in just a couple of moments here on the afternoon edition. Glad to have you along. Eric Levy here. We're going to take a look right now at weather on the ones and certified meteorologist Maureen McCann.
I'm meteorologist Maureen McCann. Thanks for joining us here with your weather on the ones on this Thursday, getting closer to the weekend and getting closer to that drier air building in the wake of a soggy couple of days here in Central Florida. Brought us some needed rain, but it impacted beach plans, especially yesterday in Flagler County. This is the view today at Flagler Beach. This shot from earlier showing some sun breaking through the clouds, but those clouds may still be persistent and embedded. Some showers possible with lingering moisture and a northeasterly flow behind our departed cold front that has shifted off to the south. Temperatures today should manage to climb a little bit more so than yesterday into the mid to even upper 80s in a few neighborhoods. When I'm back in less than 10 minutes of the timing on when we can drop these rain chances finally as we look ahead to the weekend. Coming up with your weather on the one. See you at 11 past the hour.
All right, Mo, thank you very much. Let's get you back to the breaking news we told you about just a moment ago. Two Florida businessmen tied to President Donald Trump's personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani, have been arrested accused of campaign finance violations. Authorities say the violation involves a $325,000 donation to a political action committee supporting President Trump's re-election. Police arrested Lev Parnas and Igor Fruman on a 4-count indictment that includes charges of conspiracy, making false statements to the Federal Elections Commission, and falsification of records. Records show they used wire transfers from a corporate entity they controlled to make the donation to the America First Action Committee last year. The Super PAC tells CNN they have not used the donation money made by the men, which they say remains segregated in another bank account. Another developing story we are following for you this afternoon. Dozens of protesters are taken to the streets in Sanford as a pro-President Trump rally turns into a shouting match between those who support him and those who are calling for his impeachment. Spectrum News 13's Dan Messinio is in downtown Sanford right now, and today's rally began as a way to call out Congresswoman Stephanie Murphy for supporting the impeachment inquiry. Dan.
And Eric, the protesters out here today are calling Congresswoman Stephanie Murphy's support for an impeachment inquiry politically motivated and extreme. But there were counter-protesters out here also today who are calling for President Trump's impeachment. Now, it's quieted down, as you can see at this point, but we were able to get a little bit of video of the scene earlier. Take a look. Now, organizers of the rally call it Stop the Madness, the group chanting and holding signs supporting President Donald Trump. Now, they're pushing for Congresswoman Murphy to end her support for the impeachment inquiry, saying she's not keeping her promise to work in a bipartisan way. Now, the group out supporting Murphy says Congress should impeach the president. Now, as for Congressman Murphy, she says she won't let Republicans bully her and says it's her job to defend our democracy.
I have heard concerns from my constituents about the abuse of power that is being conducted by this administration. I think it is our responsibility to the American people to uncover the facts wherever they may lead so that the American people can understand what is happening.
And Republican State Senator John Gruters was also out here speaking, and he said that Congresswoman Murphy is going to have to answer to her constituents. He said that she ran as a moderate, but with this support of the impeachment inquiry, she is anything but a moderate. Reporting live in downtown Sanford, I'm Dan Messinio with Spectrum News 13.
All right, Dan, thank you very much. A jury could soon be seated in the first of two murder trials against Markeith Lloyd. This first one for the killing of his pregnant ex-girlfriend, Sade Dixon. Lloyd also accused of killing Orlando Police Lieutenant Deborah Clayton. Jurors who made past the latest selection were told to bring a bag today because if they were chosen, they'd be sequestered immediately. Attorneys on both sides of the case are selecting people they want, and they're picking from about 60 who were left behind after several days of questioning. Narrowing down the selection for jurors has been difficult, though, for the court because several jurors were excused early after they said they already believed Lloyd was guilty and would likely not change their minds. Now, if the jury is seated today, attorneys are expected to make opening statements and begin presenting evidence tomorrow. Of course, we will keep you posted on that. Meanwhile, the Orlando police lieutenant who police say Lloyd also killed is being recognized in a special way. This new memorial on a bench that you see that's being dedicated right there honors Lieutenant Deborah Clayton's service and sacrifice. There is that bench that we were just talking about. Clayton's widower joined city officials to dedicate the bench this morning. It's located at the police training facility. And the police chief, tells us a lot of thought went into picking the spot.
It's a model to follow. It is an opportunity for officers to try to do what she did, which obviously made a huge impact in the city.
The Central Florida Hotel and Lodging Association donated that memorial bench. Well, we are learning more information this afternoon about the abduction of 2-year-old Genzel Perez, who is safely back home with his family, his father and stepmother this afternoon. According to the arrest report, Genzel's biological mother, Suhey Perez Diaz, broke into the father's apartment at gunpoint with a man who's nobody knew and threatened to kill the stepmother if she didn't hand the child over. The pair also stole thousands of dollars in jewelry and electronics from the home. Authorities found Perez yesterday afternoon in DeLand with Suhey.
We're so thankful, really. I hope every kid on the missing child list appears because it's a horrible pain to go through.
Suhey Perez Diaz is set to face a judge this afternoon. She is charged with armed burglary and aggravated assault. Well, the former radio host and pastor facing 30 counts of child sex abuse could learn this afternoon if he'll be able to post bond. Reverend Brian Fullwider, known for the WMFE radio show Friends Talking Faith with the Three Wise Guys, is accused of sexually abusing a minor over a 5-year period. We spoke to his attorneys last week who were adamant about his innocence. If he is eventually released on bond, he'll have to follow certain conditions. For example, he won't be able to leave the state of Florida, and he'll have to wear a GPS monitor, and he'll be banned from having contact with the victim and anybody under the age of 18. The man in a high-profile Clearwater manslaughter case will be sentenced. A jury found Michael Draka guilty of manslaughter in August for the 2018 killing of Marquise McLaughlin. The two got into an argument over a parking space outside a convenience store, and surveillance video showed Draka shooting McLaughlin. His sentencing is set to take place later today. We'll let you know. Hard to believe. 1 year ago right now, folks in the Panhandle were getting ready for, at that time, what was Category 4 Hurricane Michael. Later analysis say it was a 5. It devastated many parts of the Florida Panhandle, and a lot of people are remembering it. It's hard to forget it because a lot of that damage is still there. Spectrum News 13's Julie Gargata joining us from the city of Lynn Haven up in Bay County. Julie, I see a lot of people gathered behind you. What's going on there?
You know, Eric, they're holding a commemoration and celebration, commemorating the fact that this happened 1 year ago, reflecting on that. You can see the stage behind me, all set to begin in just moments, but also celebrating the fact that they are still here. So many vendors set up. This one, for example, is the local animal shelter that's talking about having comfort dogs available for folks. Lots to celebrate, though Lynn Haven looks vastly different.
After a storm, this is a sight you'd expect to see, maybe not a year later.
It was just almost like hell on earth for 3 hours.
Fifth-generation Lynn Haven resident and Mayor Margot Anderson showed us around. Surrounded by water, no tidal surge here, but the wind packed power.
You'll be amazed at how many houses are still just sitting not touched since the storm.
Homes frozen in time. 12% of Lynn Haven's population left town.
There are for sale signs every place, which makes me very sad.
Too much work. Michael took some homes.
Here's one gone.
This was someone's house?
Yes.
Left others.
As you can see on one side of the house, if you were just looking at it, you wouldn't think there was any damage. And then when you walk around, the whole inside of the house is just gutted apart.
Looking like doll houses.
For the number of people who live here, we were protected, and I don't mind saying divinely so.
People protected. But barren land like this sits in place of city buildings.
This is just was covered in oak trees leading in. It was the entrance way to this neighborhood.
And more than 1 million trees in Bay County. They just finished restoring the old library.
2 pine trees fell right through the middle of it, cut it in half.
1 year later, still stops Anderson in her tracks.
It will take your breath away sometimes. Sometimes you look at it and think, you know, look what it did to the building, and I'm still here.
Back here live, this event is set to start really any minute. There are hundreds of people here that have gathered in Lynn Haven. The mayor tells me they plan to honor some folks who just pitched in and did good work. For example, like contractors who worked free of charge post-storm. Reporting live in Lynn Haven in Bay County, Julie Gargata, Spectrum News 13.
All right, Julie, thank you very much. And of course, Julie will have much more from the Panhandle in Lynn Haven specifically tonight on your evening news starting at 5. All right, 12:11 right now. Time for another look at weather on the ones, which we do every 10 here on Spectrum News 13. Head back to the Weather Center. Certified meteorologist Maureen McCann.
Meteorologist Maureen McCann here at 11 minutes past the hour, getting ready to finally get rid of rain chances after a couple of unsettled days here in Central Forecast. We're not there just yet, though. Still a few more showers to contend with in our Thursday weather. Off to Flagler County right now, to the Flagler Beach Pier, where some sun is peeking through the clouds. There you had some heavy rain yesterday, but today the showers should be a little bit lighter and more intermittent if you do catch any of that leftover rain. When we turn to Storm Tracker 13's temperatures, they're going to be in the mid-80s, and we look back on how much rain has occurred already today, and it's not like yesterday. The totals are much lighter, mainly confined not so much to Flagler County, but southern Volusia and northern Brevard County, where the amounts have been between around 1/2 inch to 1 inch in a few localized areas. Again, this is just from this morning. Storm Tracker 13 also picking up on an isolated spot northeast of Mims with a rainfall amount of 2 inches. Again, that's just from this morning. This lingering coastal rain and a few showers will be possible inland too, as what's left of the moisture still has to be scoured out of the atmosphere before we get into the drier air mass really taking over. And you can see what that's doing on the satellite composite, showing that the clouds are over the coastal areas and also the adjacent waters. This is all going to be pressing south, though. That lingering moisture is setting up some showers from northeast to southwest, but the coverage very broken up. In fact, some of this may even be overdone, so that's why I leave the rain chance down around 40% for today. Temperatures will hold in the middle 80s today. It'll be a breezy day with winds out of the northeast. For tonight, an isolated shower still possible, and same with on Friday. I think majority areas are going to be dry tomorrow, but there could be 1 or 2 leftover areas of rain. Here is the extended forecast looking into the weekend. That's a preview of Saturday and Sunday, but I'll show you what other days have plenty of sun and 80s in the 7-day next. Right now, Storm Tracker 13 Doppler radar.